Long legs, cut off jeans, pulling me in like a magnet. Your eyes locked on me. I knew.
Whoa. Mike Muse is an industrial engineer, a music executive, a political architect. He breaks down the intersection of politics and pop culture. This is the Mike Muse Show.
Cause when you smile, I see the sun sink down on the coast out in California. And there's no doubt because of you, I'm not the man I was before you. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, though, cause girl, you know I'm not.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Mike Muse. Welcome to the episode of the Mike Muse Show. I am so excited right now to be in conversation. This guy I had a chance to interview last November, right around the midterm elections. I remember specifically because I was heading out to ABC to do the coverage right afterwards. And he has since then become a friend, I can say. Someone who I've been championing for a very long time now. He has an incredible career. He has an incredible gift. He has an incredible voice of sound. For those of you who cannot see, for those of us who are listening to us in your offices and your cars and your homes and your trucks, I have the super stylish Jimmie Allen in studio with me. What's up, Jimmie?
Hey man, I'm low key today. You know, just a little AC/DC t-shirt with some sneakers on. And
some basic light wear stuff.
Yeah, some Zara jeans. Shout out to Zara for the jeans.
Yeah, well, Jimmie's really low key, but none of that is low key right now. As those who are watching us can tell, you're kind of dripping, brother. I'm not mad at you. So I tried to do a little something with a pop collar. That's the best I could do.
Hey, thanks to my fiance. She got me the watch. She got me this chain.
You have a good fiance.
Yeah, she bought her own money.
Who's also too stunting in here right now.
She got
with
her
a little chinchilla or something.
Over there.
She fly. So my choice to get some B-roll of his fiance and mother of the new baby. I don't know, it's boy or girl?
It's a girl.
Oh, the new baby girl. You see her fly, chinchilla, some type of expensive fabric of something of an animal to keep you warm. Peter, don't get mad at me. I'm just saying. Don't shoot the messenger. It's interesting we're talking about fashion, audience, because that's exactly how I got attracted to Jimmie Allen. Jimmie was literally in the lobby of SiriusXM one day, and I just saw this really cool dude with this dope fashion, and I'm a huge fan of cowboy boots. I love boots. That's kind of one of my signature looks. And I was like, this dude's got to be an artist. I ran up to him like, yo, you an artist? Which is the most random, unprofessional statement to make.
You're an artist.
Yeah, you're like, well, actually, I am. And then you told me you're a country music artist, and I lost my shit at that point because I am a huge fan of country music. As my audience knows, I've done at least about 6 shows now centered around country music and country music artists and the origins of country music rooted in black culture. And even going back to the sub-Saharan Africa with the banjo. And so seeing that, man, I was like, I had to have him on my show, man, and I'm so glad you're back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. You know, back now. You know, back then, you know, had a little something going on, but you know, we had a 3-week number 1 on country radio with Best Shot.
Best Shot.
The new singles at number 12 right now.
Shallow.
Not
Shallow.
Make Me Want To.
Oh, Make Me Want To.
So Shallow
okay.
was the cover I did with my friend Abby Anderson.
Yeah, okay.
I got a duet I recorded with Wyclef. Got a song with Noah Cyrus. Just did one with Nelly. Yeah, man.
You're busy.
Hey, dude, you know, it's been great, man. You know,
I'm glad I caught you win. I can say, right?
You can always catch me win.
Yeah.
Always, man.
I'm excited for that. I mean, the thing about Best Shot, man, before we talked, Best Shot hadn't charged number 1 yet.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, since then, Best Shot is charged number 1. And you made history as for a first career single to go number 1 for an artist.
For Black Country.
Yeah, for Black Country. How does that, what's that feel like, man?
Man, it was a great feeling. You know, I had mixed emotions about it. I was excited that, you know, when history's, you know, at some point in history, my name will be up there. But then at the same time, I was like, man, it's kind of disappointing. You know what I mean? Like, man, it's 2018 at the time. And you know, just now got a black guy's first career single goes number 1 in country. But it was great, you know, to be a part of history with, you know, the OG Charlie Pride, and, you know, Kane Brown and Darius Rucker and Mickey Guyton and, you know, guys like Tony Jackson. It's great to join that elite company of artists and overall cool people, man.
And
it's
elite
been
that
great,
it is.
man.
Let's dive a little bit deeper with that one. So I find it very interesting. Now that you've mentioned, because I was celebrating the fact that for a Black country music artist to have a #1 career single in country music, and I was looking at it from a very excitable kind of place. But then you were looking at it from this very somber place as well, right? In the sense of, isn't that unfortunate that you're the first? And it's right. It just brings me to a point in Beyonce's Coachella performance when she was saying she's so happy to be the first female Black artist to perform at Coachella. The crowd goes wild, and she says, "Ain't that about a bitch?" Right?
Yeah.
And so just listening to you say that made me think of that.
Yeah.
Walk us through what that somber moment is, right? Because a lot of us don't have the opportunity to be change makers. A lot of us don't have the opportunity to be change agents and such as yourselves. Walk us through that moment of that conflict of celebration and then the conflict of being somber.
Yeah, man, because half of me was just super excited, but then I think, so many Black country artists came before me that didn't get that shot, that didn't get that opportunity, and, in the midst of celebration, I think about them. But the crazy thing is, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have had this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a moment where I look at it like, okay, cool. I can be the one that, people look to and say, well, if Jimmie did it, I can do it. And the thing about Nashville, a lot of people don't understand, see, pop music and rock and hip hop and stuff like that, you get record deals and you get opportunities based off one song. You can have one song, a label sign off one song. Country's different.
Yeah.
Country wants to invest in the artist. So what happens is a lot of artists that come to Nashville that don't look like the stereotypical country artist, after a few years and a few no's, they give up. But what I've learned in Nashville is Nashville just wants to know you're invested in Nashville. Because I've seen so many white guys come to Nashville with, 200,000 plus followers on Instagram and still can't get a record deal because they haven't invested in Nashville, because living there and actually getting to know the place and get to know the people, you see they're really invested in people. Yeah. Same thing with the labels and radio, country radio, they invest in the artist. There's plenty of artists out there with great songs, but they haven't put the time in and showed, I'm loyal to country music, to not only current, but to the history, to the traditions, to, putting in the work and stuff like that. I look at country music a lot like Christian music, as far as like the fan base and just the overall vibe of the communities, because they're both in Nashville.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting you talked about Christianity when it comes to that, because there's a couple things that came to mind as you were talking. I was thinking about the Berry Gordy model of artist development. Then I was also thinking about the reason why certain artists are very successful, whether it be it on stage or in music or on the big screen, is the authenticity they bring to the character or the authenticity they bring to the stage or to their music, the ability to really connect, right? I never thought about country music being that genre of connectivity, right? Where they value relationships, right? Where they value, a sense of community. And you think about the gospel world, the reason why a lot of our gospel artists do so well is because there is a community of belonging, right?
Yeah.
Like the Black church is very loyal, right?
Very loyal.
Like to these artists. And then that's also too why Tyler Perry is so successful, because that's his main demographic, is that loyalty of the Black church and tradition. So then that's interesting. So you can tie in the Black church and loyalty and then tie in into country and national authenticity. That really is a legacy of Black music.
Yeah, because what it's about, man, is
it.
the like when you have a Christian artist, they're not considered a Christian artist because they say Jesus in the song or might sing a hymn or something. They're considered Christian artists because themselves as people proclaim to be Christian. So I look at country music the same, where it's not about a cowboy hat or how many times I talk about my truck or a dog in a song. It's about the person singing the song being born and raised in the country and having the same traditions and stuff like that. And because, I remember growing up in Milton, Delaware, this town was like 750 people, small town. And to me, I thought the whole world operated like that.
Yeah.
I thought everybody listened to country. I thought everybody listened to R&B, hip hop, rock. I thought everybody went to church on Sundays and Saturdays. I thought everybody, dipped grizzly wintergreen.
Yeah.
But I left and started seeing the world. I'm like, oh, everybody's not like that. Now I get why you have certain people that write certain songs, because they write about what they're from. They write about what they know. Hence why you can have an artist that pop would look at, like artists like Luke Combs. Pop music would look at him like, oh, you got to change the look. Yeah. You got to lose weight. You got to do this. You got to do that, to where he's making music for people that relate to him.
Yeah.
And the everyday guys that get told they're overweight or they need to shave or they need to do this, they need to do that, he's making music for them.
Yeah.
And those people connect with Luke, you know, and the people, I make music based off of my life, my the different encounters I've had through different people. I put that in my music, and the people that relate to that connect to that. To where a lot of times in pop music, you have a song, people, you're asking, why'd you record this song? I'm like, I liked it. You know what I mean? Because there's not too often you find a pop artist that puts out a song that just goes to number one and they play it for a year or two, then you never want to hear it again, because a lot of times the song is shallow. Yeah. Because it's not really a connection between the artist in the song, so therefore the artist can't display a connection that's not there to the listeners. You know what I mean? So with country, they a lot of times, in country and Christian, especially in blues too, a lot of times that connection's intentional. You know, you wanna write something or record something that you feel personally, not just to, you know, so I can get a record deal real quick and keep it moving. Because like I want people to play Best Shot 20 years from now. Yeah. You know, Best Shot wrote it 3 years ago. Went number one last year, and people still playing it on country radio a year later, you know, and somebody from radio station like, Jimmie, we're going to be playing this song for the next 10, 15 years. I was like, hey, keep doing it, you know, but that's, you know, that's just some of the differences between the two genres.
What I keep hearing you talking about is this throughput, right? And so you're saying that growing up, you know, you thought everyone listened to country, rock, blues, you know, Christian music. And I keep just thinking about the origin of that. And even I would even add on hip hop, right? And the origin of storytelling, authentic storytelling. The throughput of that is this journey of black music, right? And how the blues came from the Delta of Mississippi, right? From black artists, which then birthed country, but then birthed rock, right? And so I had Leonard Skinner on my show recently, and so we were talking about the origin stories of that, right? And they're the southern, the boys of the South, right? The boys of Southern rock. And I want to lean into that a little bit, because you make an interesting distinction between Southern and country, right? And you say Southern music is from individuals from the South, right? Like think Leonard Skinner, but you're saying country music is everywhere.
Yeah, country's everywhere. You know,
talk to us about why that distinction is, right? Yeah. And then talk a little bit about how maybe that has caused an apprehension for black artists to claim their roots, right? And origin of music, which is country music.
A lot of times, you know, people that don't know country think it's just for people from Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Northern Florida, you know, but it's not. You know, I tell people, you know, when country was first established in the 20s as an extension of blues, when they were trying to introduce this new genre of music, they purposely had this black guy named D. Ford Bailey. He was the first black Opry member. He was a harmonica player. They had him purposely play harmonica melodies that mimicked blues to give the listeners something they were familiar with while trying to introduce a new genre. And a lot of times, if you look back, maybe in like the only one that kind of really stood the test of time was really Charlie Pride, because a lot of people, you know, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, even the 80s and 90s, when you think the South, you automatically first go to the history of slavery, and you think, you know what, I might not be welcome there because of what I look like. So what that might do is it might, you know, deter people from coming down there and like seeing what it's like now. You know what I mean? And I feel like we all have somebody says something comes to our mind, whether it's positive or negative. You know, if someone says, I'm from here, if they've had a negative experience with someone from that place, that's what they think about. They had a positive experience someplace, that's what they think about. So with, you know, segregation and slavery and stuff being so heavy in the South, you know, that's the first thing that comes to your mind. It's like, ugh. Because, you know, you look at yourself in the mirror every day, so you know what you look like. So if you know what you look like, and you know, the history don't fare too well for people that look like me in this region, you tend to stay away from it. And then you go, okay, well, and if you're not really educated on the genre of country, you think, well, only people that listen to it are from here, and they don't like people that look like me, you know, and that's definitely a false mindset to have, for sure. But it's crazy how, you know, history can really still affect people today. Yeah. You know what I mean? So for me, kind of, you know, growing up. Yeah, I was a country boy, you know, my daddy was a redneck and all that stuff, but I was raised in the North, you know. So for me, you know, I had my neighbors to the left of me were white, neighbors to the right were white, and neighbors behind me were Mexican. And like we all hung out as kids, and everybody's mama spanked everybody. You know what I mean? That's just how it was. Like you walk into somebody's house when you hungry and you open the refrigerator and eat. That's just how we got down. So for me growing up, it kills me when people say, I don't see color. Stop lying. You see it.
You see it.
It just doesn't affect how you treat people.
That's very true.
See what I'm saying? So the color doesn't affect how I treat people. You know, my friends, you know, one of my closest childhood friends, Nick Sharps, this white country boy from Delaware. He came up to New York last night to see me play. And we're still good friends. You know, his stepmom was my second grade teacher. Wow. His daddy spanked me before. My daddy spanked him. Yeah. That's just how it was. You know, and it was a shock for me when I first moved to the South and heard stories from people about kind of how it is some places and how it used to be. I was like, wow. So for me, I was kind of naive just going to the South. Like I wasn't worried about it because I grew up like, I love everybody. Yeah. People love me. You know, so I didn't really have that mindset going into it. So that's why I, you know, could kind of stick it out and actually get to know people and kind of give them a chance to see who they really are as people and not really have any preconceived notions about anything.
So did you say that? Because I'm from the North as well. So I'm from Michigan. I was born and raised in Lansing, Michigan. And
I have family there.
Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time in the South. And
what high school you go to? Everett?
God damn, I did.
Yeah.
I knew I loved this guy. So I loved this dude.
So my uncle, Carlos, married Kim Johnson. They went to Everett.
Magic Johnson?
Magic sister,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, my uncle married his sister Kim, so you know they all in Lansing.
Yeah, we're on the Lansing.
Yeah, my little cousins went to, some went to Everett, some went to Waverly.
Yeah. Waverly Warriors, Everett's the best. We beat them all the time in basketball. Shout out to Magic Johnson. I feel like I never talk about Magic Johnson on my show very frequently. Kirk Franklin also brought up Magic Johnson and his mother too on my show.
Man, I got to meet Kirk for the first time a couple months ago. Dude. I freaked out, bro.
Yeah, same here, man.
And I got to meet Fred Hammond on the phone. Yeah. So me and him like texting stuff. It trips me out.
Yo, Fred, you ain't been on my show yet. It was good.
Man, I love Fred.
Yeah,
man. To me, I love Kirk.
Yeah.
To me, Kurt's number 2 is from my favorite gospel artists, but to me, Fred, bro.
Really?
I love Fred, even though
So you're Fred over Kirk?
Bro.
I love a good Fred Hammond.
I do, man.
I know he's from Detroit.
You know, especially when he get the mumbling.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Hey,
come on. What you say, Fred? I don't know.
That was Fred Hammond. Oh, my God. So, Jimmie, growing up in Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church in Lansing, Michigan, the Johnsons went to Union Missionary Baptist Church, so we were rivals for churches, right? But we were always just sing Fred Hammond songs in the choir when I was growing up.
Fred,
yeah, but I still rock with Kirk any day.
Yeah, listen, I love Kirk, too. Kurt's my guy. Yeah. You know, I still get down with Kirk Franklin and family, even that 1NC record he put out.
Oh, yeah.
He had that one song, man, what is that one song from
which one?
From 1NC.
Latasha may know.
When you fall, there are angels there to catch you
if you fall.
Yeah.
And when you fall.
Yeah, that song went hard, bro. Yo, listen, Kirk. And I love how Kirk always reinvented himself. When you fall, when you cry, you can't figure it out.
Sam, where you at? We need you, Sam. So Sam is Kurt's radio promotion over at RCA. So Sam, clearly we need to do some connectivity right here. What's going on? So we're going to make that happen.
I want to do a song with Kurt, Fred, and Yolanda Adams.
Okay, now I can't get you Fred or Yolanda, but I have a good best shot.
Yeah,
see I did there?
Yo.
See it there? I'm getting you Kurt. Yeah. So listen, Sam, make it happen, Sam.
I just did a song with BB.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so
bro, you got some strong gospel roots.
So Kathy Lee, Kathy Gifford, whatever. We're good friends now.
I see you dropping that.
She writes these.
This is my girl Kat.
You know, she writes these like movie music type things, right? So we did a song. So it's me, BB Winans, and a guy named Claude Kelly from the duo Louis York. I don't know if y'all haven't heard of Louis York. Yeah. So Claude's in a duo now with this guy named Chuck Harmony.
Yeah.
You know, as writers, they've written probably some of your favorite pop and R&B songs.
My boy Ian Holder used to rep Claude over at
So Claude's on it. He wrote the song, whatever. So I got to do a song with BB and stuff like that. Yeah, dude, I grew up listening
what is going on right now? This was not where I was expecting to take this conversation whatsoever.
Listen, black gospel, CCM. Because so my mama, she didn't really listen to black gospel too much. My aunt did. My mom was into like TBN, like Mike Perky, Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir.
Yes, Brooklyn Tabernacle.
Stuff like that. But my aunt, she put me on the like Daryl Coley, Andre Crouch, James Cleveland, the Dixie Hummingbirds, the Fairfield Four.
Oh yeah,
those guys.
But you're going back, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I don't mess around.
Yeah, like literally, you don't, bro.
Yeah, bro.
But I love Hazel Brooklyn Tabernacle. I used to visit Brooklyn Tabernacle in Brooklyn when I was like a heathen, because they had a Sunday afternoon service at 3 p.m. So I could sleep in and have the hangover and then roll
go
into
praise
church.
God. Like God remove this hangover so I can do it again next week.
Because get up at 10 a.m. was a little challenging.
Exactly.
So, sorry, Brooklyn Tabernacle. You guys are a good church. I shouldn't make y'all feel like y'all my default hangover church. But
Yeah, dude.
that's what it was.
Dude, I used to listen to all that, man. That's that. Like Daryl Coley was cold.
He was different,
bro. He had
Derek
that
Coley's
one
different.
song. Hear that one song by him? When the music stops. That's
Oh,
when
yeah.
I live my song. When the band goes on.
Yeah,
bro.
that one.
Yo, he went hard, bro.
Okay.
John P. King.
Yeah, John P. King.
Come on. Come on, man.
There's a lily in the pond, right?
Yes,
There's a lily in the
bro.
pond.
There's a
Yeah.
lily.
Oh, okay.
In the valley. Come on.
Dude, this is a whole different conversation now at this point. And what, ladies and gentlemen, you don't recognize is there's someone who's in this room right now who's responsible for gospel tours across America, Latasha, to help create. So the idea they're talking about that with Latasha. Yeah. This is wild,
bro,
right now.
I got down with all that, man.
Richard Smallwood.
Oh, come on now, man.
At the table.
Richard Smallwood. And my mom went to this Adventist college in Huntsville, Alabama called Oakwood.
Okay, yeah, I know Oakwood.
Dude,
Yeah.
the Aeolians used to get busy too, bro. Who else I used to listen to growing
Bro, I don't even
up?
want to take this conversation right now.
Yeah.
I'm so mind blown right now. And I'm loving every aspect of it. So, what denomination did you grow up?
Man, I grew up. So my dad was AME and my mom was Seventh Day Adventist.
Well, you had a mix.
Yeah, so
now, were
Adventist
you the AME, the bougie AME ones, or you more the traditional AMEs?
That's the one where my great aunt, my grandma's sister, played the old piano and they used to sing songs like "There's a bright side somewhere."
Oh yeah,
all that stuff.
Oh, you did straight organ and piano AME.
Yeah, just straight organ and piano.
Okay.
Then my
then you
mom's
have the
church,
other AMEs who don't believe in having drums. You know,
and on the Adventist
that's
church, we
beneath
were
them.
like. The church I went to, like I was a drummer in the church.
Oh,
Like I was a
yeah.
drummer first. So we used to. That's when we got into like John P. King. Jesus is real.
Yeah, no, the Lord is real to me. Hey,
Dude, we used to do all that. And then when I got to, I switched from drums to piano.
Yeah.
Then we got into the John P. Key, the Strength record.
Yeah.
We used to always sing, I bow out gracefully.
Yes.
It was the last song
Yeah.
on that album. After
Yeah.
all that you have done gracefully.
People sleep on that one.
All my morning. My favorite part of that song is, all I want to say is.
Yeah.
Come on, John. Come on.
Okay, you have to come back for Easter Sunday.
Hey,
Clearly, we need to do
listen.
like an Easter Sunday. And with Kirk for bringing you back.
Yeah, listen, bro. My favorite Kurt song of all time is Jesus, you are my joy within. From that New Nation Project.
Yeah,
you are my shelter from the rain. You're the forgiver of my sin. Jesus, you are. Jesus, you are. Yeah. Where can I go?
Where can I go? Who can I call? Who's there to catch me when I fall? You're the bringing me through it all. Everything I need, you are.
Bro, come on, man.
Yeah. And then I love that part where they say, I love it when you hold me in your arms.
Yes. Yo, that song, they had that one, and they had the if you've been delivered,
Hey,
stand up on your feet and praise the Lord.
God,
My
hey,
favorite
hey.
part, he was like, here's a knowledge, get your pen and your paper, a spiritual caper. You be calling me later, seeking godly wisdom that's 2,000 years in to make it. I'm taking the message that holds with deliverance. I'm feeling this, asking me how God can save a man, raise a man. They hear that me, he's raising man. So why you judging me and you bugging me? Just remember me. Ain't no fear in me. You hear me?
Yo, you sound just like that dude.
Bro, I used to love
Kirk.
Kirk.
Kirk has your style.
He even
now.
had
I
R.
don't know-
Kelly on the song.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yo, I don't know if you see Kurt, but he has your style now, man. You know, Kurt is cut now too as well.
Bro, listen, I get down some Kurt, bro.
Yeah.
Donnie McKirkland.
Oh, Donnie McKirkland all day, dude.
Who else I used to
That's
listen
another
to?
Detroit guy too
I got
as
my
well.
gospel
Perfecting
playlist
praise
up
now here
right
on Long
now.
Island.
Oh, Kirk, that Melodies from Heaven. Oh, Till We Meet Again was smashed.
Oh yeah,
too,
but
bro.
Melodies from Heaven is my jam. Melodies.
You know about
from-
Ty Tribbett?
Oh, Ty. Ty's a beast, bro.
Virtue. You remember Virtue?
Yeah, Virtue, yeah.
Virtue, Trinity 5-7.
This is literally Sounds of Soul right now. Like, what's happening? Yeah.
Hezekiah Walker. Come on. I will go in Jesus' name. I will go in Jesus' name. Oh, I will go. Bro, you know what Hezekiah was the king of? Writing
What's
one
that?
verse in the chorus.
Yeah.
He sung that one verse, chorus, same verse, chorus. Then guess what?
Yes.
Modulate up.
The oscillator, yes.
Jesus, my help.
Hey. Audience, you see me looking at my phone right now. I got to try and find something so I can get. Donald Lawrence is, yo.
That Blessed
Donald
Abraham
Lawrence, Blessed
smash.
of Abraham.
Bro.
And the Tri-State Singers.
Oh, come on,
See,
man.
I love Donald Lawrence best when he was with the Tri-State Singers.
Oh, yeah, the Tri-State. Yeah.
I know he went solo for a second and did his thing, but I loved it when he did that one.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find something so I can just blow your mind right now, and I cannot find this.
They were dope, bro.
This picture to show to you. Okay, so listen, as we conclude this conversation, dude, where is?
Oh yeah, my new single "Make Me Want To's" out. Check me out on social media, Jimmie Allen J M-I-E.
Yes, please put all that.
Yeah, man, I love music, man, and I listen to new gospel still, but I miss gospel from 2005 and back.
Yeah,
you know, it just had a different feel, like this song right here.
Hey.
And it's crazy.
Hey.
I used to play the drums on this one. I will bless the Lord.
Hey.
Come on,
Hey.
they still slap, bro.
Bless the Lord. Tasha, check your text real quick, Latasha.
Bro.
So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I had to find a way to close this before we just start shouting and saving
Best way to
souls and
close it.
open the doors of the church right now. But as we audience, as you may see us getting into this music,
send your offering.
that really, I'll definitely send your offering.
Send your offering, yeah.
Make sure you stream Jimmie Allen. All right, make sure you buy the album, and then also to make sure you see him on tour. That is the reason why you're so successful. I'm understanding on the Constitution, and my audience knows I love to identify and understand an individual's Constitution, because country music and gospel music is all about telling stories authentically of lives that individuals go through, right? In country and in gospel, you tell stories of pain, you tell stories of joy, right? You tell stories of upliftment, right? And they're as real can be, right? Because there isn't no structure format, really just pouring your soul into it. That's why gospel music, you see people cry so much with the gospel and shout and praise, is because there is such a human connectivity to it,
that
right?
feeling's real, man.
Yeah, and so I think that's the reason why I wanted us to keep going down that road of the singing gospel songs and talking about gospel music, because that is really the connectivity.
And
right?
people, I
Is
tell people all the time,
authenticity.
like, people, you know, when people are happy, that's fine, but people really connect through pain.
Yeah.
Because pain's one thing you don't have to explain, because everybody's felt it.
Yeah.
So when you write a song that starts with pain and you connect there, then you get to the happy times together. I went to so like I tell you, I do country, but I love, you know, all genres of music. So I'm friends with Tisha Campbell.
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
She invited me out to Soul Train Awards.
She just had a new single that's dropped out recently too.
I went to
as
Soul
well.
Train Awards with her last year, man. I got to meet so many of my heroes, man. I got to meet Erykah Badu.
Oh, nice.
I got to meet Faith Evans. Oh, Stevie J follows me on Instagram now. Became good friends with Sean Stockman from Boyz II Men.
Yes.
I just feel like, I mean, it's all about finding what you love. And I tell people, just because you sing one genre of music doesn't mean you can't love other stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I love gospel. I love rock. I love hip hop.
Yeah.
You know? I love R&B. I miss.
Which is authentic storytelling too.
Yeah. I miss the days of somebody I felt like was so underrated, Carl Thomas.
Yes,
his emotional
he was.
album.
Yes, he was.
I seen him in the airport once in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And he had just got, me and him had both got that Clear thing. And Carl was
Clear's
like,
amazing, by the way.
And Carl was like, this is clear, but this line ain't moving no faster than I would. But like, I was a huge fan of him. I became friends with Slim from 112.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Shout out to Slim.
There's all kind of genres,
yeah,
man.
man. Friends
And Carl
with Rob
Thomas, give me a
now.
little hint. You got to do clear pre-check.
Yeah,
that's
clear.
what makes it go better.
Yes,
You can't
clear
just do clear.
pre-check.
If you do clear, you're still stuck.
Yeah, you're still stuck.
Yeah,
You
got to do clear
pre-check.
and pre-check. Shout out to Carl's former band member,
His
Craig. What up,
record
Craig?
emotional, bro.
Yeah, emotional was
And I miss
sick.
interludes.
I do
remember
too.
albums used to have interludes?
Yeah. Jimmie, we got to close the show.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, I forgot. We got other
Because you're on
stuff to
tour,
do.
you got to go. You got to do all the things.
But I'm gonna come back next time I'm in the city, man. Let's chop it up. Let's give ourselves an hour.
We need an hour.
And chop it up.
Yeah, you know what? And I want to do an audience with you.
Yeah.
And I want you to come and do a performance. Will you do that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm down.
Perfect.
Let's set it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmie Allen. You can see why I love him. You can see why he's so dope, why he's super talented. Make sure you find him on tour. Just go to www.jimmieallen.com.
JimmieAllenMusic.com.
JimmieAllenMusic.com. And where can people reach you on Instagram and Twitter?
Instagram and Twitter is Jimmie Allen, JIMMIE.
And as always, you can...
ALLEN with the blue check mark. Don't fall for the Jimmie Allen official 12578s.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, those are fakes. Boy.
Yeah.
Those are all fakes. But yeah, Instagram, Twitter,
You
the
know
same
you're doing
thing.
your thing when you get fake profiles,
Bruh,
dude.
man,
That's a sign of success, brother.
And creepy at the same
Very
time. But it's
creepy.
cool. Like I had a buddy of mine call me and was like, "Hey Jimmy, I just got a message for you on Instagram saying you needed new tires for your tour bus." I was like, "Come on, bro." I said, "First of all, you know me.
You know
and
me.
don't you think if somebody can afford a tour bus, they can afford the tires,
Yeah,
for
tires,
the tour
yeah,
bus?"
yeah.
He said, "Well, it said Jimmie Allen official private."
No.
I said, "I can
That's
write anything
different.
I want.
Yeah, literally.
I can start one right now."
And you
that
have
says
AAA for that.
Obama private
Yeah.
one, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Doesn't
ask you
mean
for some
nothing.
stuff. Yeah,
That'll
I
be
mean,
good.
no.
And
But
plus,
yeah,
you
man.
got AAA insurance the whole nine.
I appreciate you having me, bro.
No,
It's all
I love you, dude. I'm
every
so
time,
proud. I
man.
want to keep
Like you,
supporting
brother.
you so
Thank
much,
you,
man, to keep this conversation going. As always, reach me at I am Mike Muse.
And then the
Until
only
next
way to
time.
close
Yes.
the show, we're gonna close the show
Let's
with
do
one of
it.
my favorite Fred Hammond songs. We're
Hey.
gonna slow it down for y'all for a second.
Hey.
Hold on.
Glory to your name.
Hey.
Glory to your name.
Come on, Fred.
This is it. Ladies and gentlemen, listen for a little while. Feel free to go. Feel free to stay. Feel free to get blessed.
I just got hit. Just this opening line.
The choice is yours.
Come on, Fred.
Should be a fire in your heart and some praise when you praise. Consuming every part because you know the God we serve will make His presence known.
Had to do that. We're gonna stop. I start shouting.
Hey.
When you rain, should be a fire and the rays when you raise, consuming every part because you know the God we serve will make it better known.
I think you guys can see it in my smile right now. I do this so much. I love what I do. I love running my mouth. I love conversations. I love curating conversations. And I love finding fascinating intersections and really doing a deep dive into the policies associated with lifestyle, sports, music, film, fashion, and technology. I believe that's really where fascinating conversations exist. It's almost like that grayscale, right? We exist in a world right now where everything is so binary, everything is so black and white, everything's so ones and zeros. But now we're in the space, we're in the gray. And I think that is absolutely amazing. And as you guys know, I have a love for country music. I am wildly fascinated by that for so many different reasons. I've done many episodes and topics about it. If you guys know this, you've been with me since day one, and thank you for that. But in particular, black country music artists. I think there's such a unique history in the past, and I actually think it's a unique history that's coming up in the present. As you guys know, I had my boy Jimmie Allen on recently, and we had a fantastic conversation, a deep dive into what was happening, and I literally met some fantastic people from Warner, and they told me about a young lady named Yola. And they said, Mike, I think by the way you talk, the way that you represent this, I think you may like her. I was like, okay, have you ever heard of her? I said, no. And I was like, okay, cool. And we're going to send you some information on her. And I was like, all right, cool. No lie. I got an email. I clicked on it. I was like, holy guacamole, a black female country music artist from the UK. What the fill in the blank. So listen, let's just start the conversation. I know you're fascinated already. I know I am. Ladies and gentlemen, Yola.
Hey!
What's happening, Yola?
Oh, I'm just here in New York saying hey to a lot of people.
As you should. First of all, your voice is so fantastic.
Thank you.
I had a chance to listen to some of your music, and I was just absolutely blown away of how powerful it is and how authentic it is. And it really begins to tell a story. And I think the beauty of country music is the writing. Right? And I think it's one thing where if the voice can match up to the writing, but then the spirit of the voice, I think it's like that trifecta, right? And it's sometimes we miss the spirit, which is that trifecta of it. But your spirit combined with your vocals and the lyrics is just absolutely incredible. Cheers to you.
Thank you. I try.
I mean, look, before we get into all the elephants in the room,
Okay.
right? Okay,
Like
before,
this guy.
before all, I mean, before all the elephants,
Okay.
right? All of them, right? How in the heck from UK,
Right?
the United Kingdom, are you doing country music? I just don't associate that with the United Kingdom. I think tea and crumpets and
Of course you do.
high society and bougie people.
Oh,
And
yeah. I've got my
all
boosh.
that. Oh, I can tell. Yeah. Oh, I can tell.
Booze recognises booze, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a whole... I've got a clan of black booze in
Yeah.
the UK. But, like, for real, as a kid, I was singing Brownstone and all of this stuff. And I was like, my voice almost sounds like that because they're church, you know,
Yeah,
kind
of
of
course,
thing.
yeah.
But then I'd sing something maybe more R&B, like Brandy.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, this is not my voice.
Yeah.
And my voice would sound like the trills were different,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and my tone was always broader.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like R&B vocals can be really palaty
Yes.
and really compressed?
Yeah. Especially today's R&B.
Especially today's
Yes,
R&B.
especially,
That was
yeah.
less so. Mary J
Yeah.
wasn't playing like that.
At
you
all.
know, at all. And so I kind of had the pop kind of background of like my childhood. And then my mum was obsessed with Dolly and Elton John. And like, so I had a kind of singer-songwriter meets country upbringing musically. And that kind of, I noticed when I was singing Dolly songs that the trills felt easy. So easy. And I was like, but it was not that, it was like, it was more natural that it was
Yeah.
easy. My muscle memory seemed to move in that direction. So I moved towards that. I just followed
amazing.
the path my voice took me on.
So I'm going to do some message translation because you hit me earlier with a sweater you call a jumper.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a UK thing.
That's a UK thing. I'm also getting the impression that trills is equivalency
rundown.
of runs.
Yeah,
yeah.
runs. There it is. Hold on. So this is going to happen a lot, okay?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of this. What is that?
Yeah.
We're going to translate.
The
It's gonna
first
be
time you
fine.
said trills, I'm like, okay, I know how I use trill. I go, that's trill, right?
Yeah.
But I was like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
We don't say that.
So I think she's using trill in a different manner. And then you kept going. I was like, oh, she's speaking about runs.
Yes,
Okay, good.
Runs. Okay.
Which is really interesting, though, because to me, country music is a lot about inflection points.
Yeah. Huh.
So for you to focus on the runs, I find really fascinating
Mm-hmm.
that is one of your strengths and the uniqueness to that, because to the inflection and the falsetto
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and the back throw is really interesting. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit
But
technical. I love
no,
technicality
it is.
stuff.
But
Yeah.
also, like, if like I'm also a real voice tech nerd.
Yeah.
And the quickest way to get your kids, by the way, to get your rundowns working is to use the yodel, to use that.
that inflection.
Yeah,
That
the
thing,
second you get the momentum of the voice box drop,
Yeah.
that's what does your run for you. You don't even have to muscularly do it. So that's kind of how I learnt to run down, through getting the very genesis of that yodel, and that kind of pushed me even further towards country music, obviously.
Obviously. But even, you know what, so now we're even going there, because when you think about, I love where we're going right now with the whole yodeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the British accent is that, right?
Yeah.
It kind of is that different dynamics of a yodeling, of
Mm-hmm.
an inflection. You guys have like your mouth, you're wide in your mouth sometimes, it sounds like.
But my mum's from Barbados. My mum,
oh, you're Bayesian.
yeah,
Come
so
on,
I have
flying
like,
fish.
I have exactly
Yeah.
right. So I've got half this Barbados and half this Accra kind
Yeah.
of thing. That's like my mix. And so my mum had like American English. So I've got the Britishness, but my vowels aren't the most tall, if you will. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
They're
exactly what you mean.
a bit wider and so that kind of really took to making singing easier for me.
So I'm still on this elephant.
Yeah, okay.
Before we go to the other elephants, I'm still on this one elephant,
one.
right? Yeah, we're still on elephant one right now. When I look at country music from past and I look at present, I've always associated country with being Southern. Not myself, but country music in general is perceived to be Southern, to be white, and to be kind of red state, what we say, and leans more conservative, Republican. That's how it used to be thought of when you think about it. But I've been doing a deep dive into this, and I've been noticing, though, and I had the executive director of the Grammy Museum on the show, and so he and I began to talk about how technology has opened up the notion of country music. And now the country music is no longer just centered in the epicenter of the South and the red states, but it's actually in more progressive areas in the suburbs of Chicago and in the North and in New York City. And it's opened up a whole new genre of individuals. So for me, country music isn't this one-dimensional aspect anymore, but I've never gotten past the borders of the United States and how I have seen country music grown. So with you, can you just help enlighten us a little bit in terms of how country music is perceived in the UK?
Well, that's what I have noticed, is that you definitely get the idea of, what you were saying with the narrow vision of how to define country. It's easy when it comes to genre to narrow down like how you define that music. And so you might go, if it's not from here and it doesn't sound exactly like this particular artist, then it isn't country. But in the UK, like I think there's a little bit of a kind of a battle between what old country all of a sudden not being country anymore. So like some people are saying that maybe Johnny Cash is now Americana or something.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm like, how can you be Johnny Cash or not?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like that your genre can change by not having done anything to the chord structure or the kind of writings kind of format. Yeah. And so in the UK, we see all of this together. We see that breadth of from like Wanda Jackson right the way through to what we're seeing today with Chris Stapleton, We see that clarity of movement as just a development of one genre and that breadth. And maybe because we have that distance from it, that we don't want to kind of boil it down too hard.
So does the distance remove the cultural aspect of it too as well, of the biases that are associated with it?
I think a little bit. Yeah, I think it allows you to maybe get something on an aesthetic level. Yeah. And not necessarily have, like we all have, as people of colour, we've all got some kind of trauma that's associated with growing up not in a place where we're a majority. But I don't think necessarily that I have that kind of trauma associated with that music or anything as much as someone maybe that was living in the southern states that was of color. Yeah.
So now I'm thinking about you and Kano. Right? Yeah. Because Kano has had a lot in the beginning, there was some resistance to his music because now you're talking about aesthetics. Yeah. Right? Yeah. His look, the tattoos. Yes. Jimmy Allen a little bit too, but Jimmy doesn't have a lot of the tattoos, right? So Kano has the tattoos and kind of tatted up. So aesthetics is one way. And then I see your aesthetic just black and female, right? And natural hair. So when you made the decision, right? Because we all have a calling in our lives, right? We all have that moment where we say, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? This is my life. So when you said, I'm going to do country, did you think about some of the challenges that may exist? Did you have to think through anything about being a black female from the UK who's not entering that space? Where most black female artists would never have to think about those type of things if they're doing pop or R&B.
Well, if you're a black female, you have to think about that anyway. Oh, fair. That's just work. Yes. Okay? You're at this intersection anyway. And so that whole kind of, maybe if I go and just toe the line, my life's going to be easier is BS. Yeah. Okay? It's not easier. It's just a different kind of drama, but it's there. So I'm like, I might as well do what I want to do. Yeah. I might as well do what my voice is meant to do. And, and I mix country with a lot of stuff. I mix country with like classic soul music for sure, with that kind of singer-songwriter sound and that maybe that alt country sound. And so as well as It's just that I'm genre fluid,
Yes.
but that centralizing energy is country.
But I think all genres now are
I
genre
think they
fluid.
are.
I think if you look at rock music right now,
Oh, it's
rock
very
doesn't sound like rock.
Right.
Right? Rap doesn't sound like rap.
No, it
I'm like,
does
I don't even
not
know
anymore.
what categories this is in. Pop actually wants to be rap, and then pop also wants to be country.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Right? So
yeah,
I actually
exactly.
don't know where to place her
That's
anymore.
exactly it.
I'm even having trouble placing Ariana Grande at times
Right.
too as well. And so, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I think it's a great thing.
And I think it goes to back,
I think it really benefits. The idea of being fluid benefits you creatively.
It does. And I think the technology has allowed that, right? Because when you
Yes.
think about it, we're able to explore, right?
Yeah.
Like whether you're on SoundCloud, Spotify, so whatever you are, there is, if you like this, then you like that.
Yes.
Kind of going on. And so now we're able to have so much more access to music
Yeah.
from different places, spaces. And that influences the creator, right? And kind of and who you are, right?
But my time coming up was very much when that technology wasn't available.
Ah.
And so this was very much dependent on my mother's record collection, my friends' parents' record collection. We
Yeah.
go after school and we sit down in someone's house, and they were the only person allowed to touch the records because we were kids, and they were like, we don't trust you with this vinyl.
Yeah.
And we go and we just listen to like Crosby, Stills and Nash. We'd listen to The Kinks, or we'd be listening to like Neil Young, or like, so we'd be like going through, working our way towards like loads of things.
Yeah.
Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
Listen to.
So what zone are you in right now? Because my audience knows I love art, and I love art from all mediums, right? And I love, in particular, shout out to Franklin Sermons, who you have to meet. He is one of the most fantastic art curators I've ever met. He is currently the director of the Pan Museum in Miami, and so he and I have these really robust conversations about music too, as well, about art, inspiration, mediums. What do you gather for that? And so I'm just curious, like, what space are you in right now? Like, what is inspiring you? What mood are we in right now? And what are you drawing from that allows you to have that incredible spirit, right?
Well, I think.
And right now, right? Because, you know, what you created 2 years ago could be different, right?
Well,
and 4 years could be different. But, like, what's the
exactly.
space of Yola right now?
I think right now I've been feeling that, and certainly when I was writing this record that's coming out now, I was feeling like massive levels of melodrama I wanted. Like, again, I talked about Glenn Campbell, about Richard Dar Lyman, but I've been listening to a lot of Les Baxter recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on now. Okay.
I know, and I just like the grandiosity
Yeah.
of music and color and texture.
Wow.
You know, and so like talking to someone like Dan Auerbach was
Yes.
perfect
Yeah.
because he's got all of that kind of rich knowledge of music, but also he's fiercely eclectic as well. And so for me, like, I draw my inspiration from things that maybe aren't always dead center what I'm going to be creating.
Yeah.
I'm drawing things in, and like I've always kind of led maybe towards more the alt side of country. I do love Emmylou, and I'm still listening.
Yes.
I'm cycling that oh my goodness, Wrecking Ball record
Yes.
still, you
Yes,
know?
yes.
Like, and so, like, there are things feeding into the way that I want to write that are kind of, that have this kind of expanse
Yeah.
from that loneliness that you have on that record
Yeah.
to the lushness of Wichita Alignment. I really want drama.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. And so we're getting that with a little bit of, Roy Orbison I've been listening to a lot recently again, and I think we're getting towards what we call in the UK, we've been calling it chamber pop.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, the
yeah.
kind of Phil Spector-esque kind of stuff.
So listen,
you know.
listeners, some of you listening right now may not be able to see my smile. Those of you watching on video right now can probably see my smile. The way you paint a picture is just incredible of your music, and when you use, I love how you describe things, right? I'm very descriptive and I'm very visual, so the grandioso, right? And everything is big and dramatization of it all, but also too your historical references, right? Like, you're very well researched in your genre, and you're very well researched in music, and you're very well studied on the technique, and I think that's what makes the difference from just being good to great, right? And I think that's what's going to make individuals so special and so exceptional. And so I'm just smiling. And it's like you've been here for years. Been here meaning in the music space on this level?
I've been behind the scenes as a writer for a while.
But I mean, just coming out as like ahead of the music, right? I mean, being the front face of it, I just feel like I'm watching something that is about to become so spectacular.
Oh,
I legit don't even say this to artists, right? There's a couple. There's one I actually said this to publicly and on air, and I said, you have something really special, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it. For the same reason, really well researched, really well learned on her genre, and that's exactly what you are. So, I mean, it's almost I don't even know where to go with you anymore. Like I literally, because listeners, what you didn't hear was I actually rocked back in my seat and was just like, let me pull up some coffee. I do have a coffee here, and let me just listen to you. Like I don't even need to hear you sing. I just want to hear you talk.
Oh my goodness!
So then imagine the singing. I mean, I'm so super excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
So as you are about to enter and you're about to kick all kind of doors in the music industry down.
Shamelessly.
And you're about to get all the Billboard awards and history and charts and stages.
Hey, I'm going to try.
No, you will. Don't even say that. You will. We're going to speak that into existence. What is the takeaway for the music? Like, what do you want people to, how do you want people to, that's a better way to say it. How do you want people to experience your music?
I really feel when people have, I call it, there's a place that when you're sometimes when you're singing to yourself or if you're at a gig and you go to a place called the bye-bye. People, you may have been there. You'd be like, oh, I'm in the zone. Oh, I'm just there.
Yeah.
And you're drifting off.
Yes.
And then you come back in the room and it just dawns on you that you're in the room and there are other people and stuff. And sometimes when I'm singing, I go to the bye-bye and my mouth is going and I'm hoping the right lyrics are coming out, but I'm skating on something. And so when I'm going to that place, I hope everyone else is going to that place. Sometimes I'll see like a really giant henchman cry his eyeballs out. Sometimes, it'll be someone's just like, there's like an old lady at the front kind of just doing this. Sometimes it'll be a kid kind of shaking. But the wherever that space is, I want people to feel. I think it's very easy to get disassociated from sensation.
Yes.
To go towards, the strong look. Okay, I've got a strong look. I'm walking around with a dang afro. Yeah. But but for that to be where it stops, and for it to be aspirational, and hey, I'm going to turn up because I like fashion, so.
Yeah. Well, you took me to the bye-bye today. Literally, just listen to you talk. I haven't heard your music. I literally rocked back in my chair, and I forgot I'm hosting this show. I'm like, wait, Mike, you need to, get your host hat back on and, be ready for some type of question.
All I want is...
if not, your listeners are going to hear, dead air, which will be really bad because I'm in the bye-bye. I can't wait to use that.